Hello, I'm Tom Luckongkeen. I'm head of partnerships for the Lighthouse Construction Charity, and I'm here just to talk about who we are and what we do and why we exist. And so, starting off with why we exist, although the rewards in the industry are great, there's also considerable risks. And whilst everybody has been focusing on health and safety, near misses, then the same emphasis hasn't really been put onto mental health and well-being. And every single year, there's between 30 and 40 fatalities on building sites, and also over 2,000 major accidents that incapacitate a worker in a way that they can't return to work. And why that's so significant is that a lot of the industry is made up of subcontractors, which means that if people don't work, they don't get paid. They don't always also have access to the same level of benefits as a direct employee, and that can put a lot of pressure on somebody as a sole provider for their family. We also have the highest rate of occupational cancer cases that are directly attributed to working in construction. And of these 2.4 million man days that are lost through injury or illness, 20% of them are to do with stress, anxiety, or depression. And heartbreakingly, every single working day in the UK and Ireland, two construction workers take their own lives. And so the charity exists solely to look after the industry and anyone within the allied trades. And that also extends out to partners and dependents. And our vision as a charity is that no construction worker or their family should be alone in crisis. And ultimately, the charity is about community, it's about family. I make the analogy of family because in a family, you can't choose who's in your family, but we need to make sure that we look after each other. And we do that. On our mission is that we're trying to reduce construction workplace suicides. We're trying to improve the industry welfare and well-being for this generation and the next, and to make well-being support visible and accessible for all in construction, and make construction somewhere that people want to be and that want to work. And we're the only charity that's 100% dedicated to the emotional, physical, and financial well-being of the construction community in the UK and Ireland. And everything we do is broken down into three pillars, and that's emotional, physical, and financial. And for things like stress, anxiety, depression, anger, people can access counselling for those things, but it's counselling in a way that's right for that individual. Is that face to face? Is it by Teams? Is it by text message? And you can access that within 24 to 48 hours. And at the moment, if people are going through GP surgeries, there's a 12-week plus waiting list, and people are then being given a telephone call. We try to get people to use our portal or our app to look at things like aches and pains, nutrition, weight management, because we know that if somebody's got that link to us, they're more likely to reach out to us if they're ever in crisis. We offer non-judgmental alcohol and drug addiction support. And, you know, everything that the charity does is without judgment. We're not here to tell people how to live their lives or to pass judgment on their life. What we are here to do is to help people back up on their feet. We also offer non-repayable emergency financial aid. That could be as simple as ordering somebody's groceries. It could be as simple as ordering a washing machine, a fridge, freezer, any of those things. If those break down, that puts a lot of pressure on somebody to look after their families, and it's unexpected costs that put a lot of pressure on people. When we order shopping for somebody, it's the same kind of shop that you or I would do. It's not a harvest festival shop. It's not a food bank shop. If somebody's got kids, then we order treats in for somebody's kids. If we can't get shopping delivered to you till tomorrow, we would make sure that we order Uber Eats so that you and your family can eat for today. We can also help with funeral costs. There isn't anything that we wouldn't consider. The only thing that we don't do is we don't give money, and that's because a caseworker that would be assigned to the worker would make sure they're getting any state benefit entitlement. And if you give somebody money, that's then classed as an income which can hinder rather than help. We can help with budgeting, debt management, tax and legal advice, and also retirement planning. And our free services start with a 24-hour helpline. Then anyone can call through to that for help, advice, guidance. When you call through, then you're assigned a caseworker. That caseworker looks after you from the beginning of your journey with us to the end. And that's really, really important, because at the time that somebody picks up the phone, they're normally quite vulnerable. There's normally more than one thing going on. And that caseworker makes sure that they get under the bonnet of what's going on and that all needs are addressed, not just the thing presenting at that moment. We've got a text hard hat service. That's for people that don't want to talk. A lot of people on site haven't got that privacy to be able to pick up the phone, but by texting hard hat to 85258 in the UK or 50808 in Ireland means the worker can access support privately just by text service. We have a self-support app with over 3,000 pathways to support. And we also have a portal as well. And so, that can be downloaded by putting into a search bar, make it visible.info. There's various partnerships within that. We've got Nudge that can help with the cost of living crisis. We've got a partnership with Sleep Station. Now, Sleep Station normally costs about £300. That's free because of our partnership with them. And over 90% of people that use Sleep Station have clinically proven improved sleep. We also have a chat bot, sorry, not a bot, a chat service that you can type in over 120 languages and get the support and help that you need in the language that you in your mother tongue. We have over 500 places called Lighthouse Beacons. That they're places that you can access across the country. Within the app, if you click on the beacons, it will bring up a map of the country with lots of little maps inside. And if you click into those maps based on where you live, it will tell you the times that they're open. We have a tour that is going on at the moment that's travelling around the UK and Ireland, visiting construction sites, starting some conversations on the front line around mental health support, and also just talking about services that are available for you to access. We have a wellbeing academy that was launched on Valentine's Day last year. That is for online training. There's 28 days that you can link in and out of under a range of different topics like prevention versus bullying, taking control of drug and alcohol problems, bang on budget, and tackling debt. We also have menopause training. We have menopause training for managers, and we also have all the MHFA training that can be accessed as part of any pledge to the charity annually. And we provide a unique code for anyone that makes a pledge to be able to access any of those paid for training. And it's a great way of helping and supporting the industry to get the conversation started, but also to give people the tools and the resilience they need to support on the front end. As part of our portal, there's also a place for mental health first aiders to register within the app. They can put details of their interventions and they can access counselling. And it's our way of supporting your people out there, supporting others on the front end. We have a critical incident team. Now, that's an on-site trauma team. So if anyone has a death or an accident on site, we would send in a trauma team to work with your HR department and make sure that everybody got the support and the ongoing support that they need to make sure that they don't have precarious trauma. So as a charity, how are we doing? What are we doing? Well, our Make It Visible tour last year visited 390 sites, spoke to over 25,000 workers, and had 139 active rescues. And what an active rescue is it is where somebody has been met on site that were having suicidal thoughts that are now getting the help and support that they need. So, that really is saving lives. To register for that tour, then we've put in place a fair and equitable process where everyone has to go on, they register using the online form and are put in a queue and would be just added to the schedules as we're in those areas. For every pound that comes into the charity creates £9.12 in social value. Last year, we supported over 4,000 families. Nearly 3,000 of those were financial. And so far this year, we've spent over 300,000 on charity support, and again, just helping so many families, not just with financial, but with counselling, anything that they need. We're also training up a lot of mental health first aiders, and our tour continues to be going around the country. What can you do as a company? First off, please let people know that we're there. If people don't know that support's there and available, they won't access the support that they so desperately need. For anyone that partners with the charity and makes a pledge of £1,000 or more, you get thank yous over social media. What that then does is that gives a green light to anyone that knows you to access the support and help that they may so desperately need. For some people, then you may have a training budget that you can offset against the training that you can access, or you can take advantage of one of our lighthouse days or organise your own lighthouse studies. There's a real sense of community about bringing people together and raising money for these families that we're here to help. Also, you could take part in one of our events that are all on our website nationally. By pledging, we're not government funded, we're not lottery funded. We're supported by the industry for the industry, and your pledge goes straight out to help and support the families on the front line. This is a little bit of a breakdown where some of that money goes. So for £1,000, that would order 14 shops, could order some white goods, 3 white goods, 16 counselling sessions, or 6 suicide awareness courses, or a 10,000 pledge would pay for 5 days of our tour, or 2 critical incident support interventions. Also, as part of the pledge, you get access to a building wellbeing, which is really about mapping our services to your business. You get access to a company supporter hub where you can go in, look at our campaigns each month, look at our social media assets, and it's just got all that information to be able to pass down to your teams, and you get a monthly newsletter. There's just a little bit of a list of other benefits that you get. You get a free helpline pack and posters that are sent out, dedicated monthly newsletter, thank you message across social medias, inclusion of your logo in our monthly newsletter, and proud to support you graphics that you can proudly display, along with a letter and certificate of thanks to you and your teams. Thank you so much for listening.
Well, thank you so much, Tom, for joining us today at Showhome Live and with such an important message. I think there were 2 things that really stood out for me. First of all, the fact that, people can get the support that they need in such a short space of time, within 24 to 48 hours. I think that's fantastic compared to the 12 weeks that you said that it might take going through a GP. How important do you think it is that people who need support in these areas gain that help within such a short time frame?
I think, for me, the people being able to access support so quickly really just does save lives. Also, it stops things escalating. It stops things reaching a crisis point if somebody can access support quicker rather than later.
And when it comes to stress, anxiety, and depression rates, you said that they're particularly high in the construction sector. What are some of the main reasons for this? Why are they so high in the construction industry?
I think a lot of it is to do, we have a transient workforce. I think a lot of the industry is made up of subcontractors. I think that, if people don't work, they don't get paid. Things can be affected by weather. There's not a lot of flexibility, like, using COVID as an example, whilst the world ground to a halt, people were still going out and working on sites. So people didn't have that same level of being able to stop and take stock. I think that we're in, the construction industry is over 80% men. I think, we've been taught, a lot of men have been taught not to talk about their feelings. And that's unpicking, decades of taught behaviour, and being respectful to our fathers and our grandfathers. Maybe at that time that was the right thing. So it's not knocking that at all, but I think it's important to recognise that we're not in that time now. And the more that people talk, the more that people are open, the more that we break down that stigma, we're going to normalise all of those things and make it normal for people to be able to reach out and get the help that they so need, and to know that all of us struggle at different times. It's and all of us need support at different times.
So that leads into my next question, which was going to be around sort of reasons why people aren't reaching out to get the help that they need. What would you say is the main cause then of this?
I think, firstly, I think there's an element of pride. People see asking for support as some kind of failure. I think we need to change that narrative, and we need to make sure that everybody knows that there isn't any stigma attached. I think that certainly people, it doesn't matter how often you say, that for every person that calls through to the charity, that's 100% confidential. We don't share back to any companies. We don't share back with anybody other than top line numbers of where the money's been spent. Like last year, we had charity direct expenditure of over £2 million. And it doesn't matter whether any company gives how much money somebody gives us. We would never give that detail back on who's got that support, because confidentiality is a really, really, really big thing for us.
And what would be a sort of final message then to those who are watching that might be in need of some help and some of the services that the charity offer?
I think, we helped over 4,000 families in 2023. Please be part of us helping even more than that. Please take our message of support out to the industry. Make sure we're looking after the person next to us, and make sure that you've got the helpline number, the 0345 605 1956 in your phone, ready to pass out to anybody that may need it. And know that you're always going to meet somebody that needs support, and just know where to direct them to get the support that may help them and their families.
And for those who are watching that might be able to help in some way by collaborating with the charity, what would be your message to them?
So my message to those companies were, by partnering with us, you get access to a whole host of MHFA training that maybe you could offset against your training budget. But it isn't just about it. It's about helping and supporting the community, but also giving your teams the tools and the resilience they need to support those out on the front end. And by working in partnership, we amplify that message of support out to the industry.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. We've learned from this presentation a lot about the charity, and it's such a complete and comprehensive service. So thank you very much for the work that you do, and also to the charity itself.
Oh, no, thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about what we do.